to probably all I got left to say about the snap situation. Everything that we went over already, and all the other things that I've seen in the comments, not even on my videos, but of other comments, because I do participate elsewhere. So, but I mean, just gonna summarize it here. I'm glad people are finally bringing up the real stats into the conversation, like myself, to fight against the blatant ignorance and stupidity that drives the unnecessary hate towards the most vulnerable of all of us, accounting for literally 1/8 of our entire population, like 12.5%, you know? And more than 1/8 of grocery stores and farmers' monthly revenue that programs like SNAP and WIC generates. As a loss in those programs, we have the risk of increasing food inflation and increase in layoffs for the same people that are working these minimum wage jobs and need to rely on SNAP to feed themselves. And I mean, not even just layoffs, you can be cuts in hours as well, because this realistically will affect grocery stores. I mean, Walmart's already reporting 10% loss, and they sell other shit. Supermarkets are going to be disproportionately hit. I mean, we do have a good volume of people that go to Walmart, but grocery stores only sell fucking food. So it's pretty simple when it comes to that. And I mean, it's going to be disproportionately too. Like the lower cost stores are going to be hit harder than the higher cost, because typically people with SNAP, I mean, if they're mindful of their budget, which I'm pretty sure at least a fair percentage would be, they would be, getting as much as they can for as little as they can. It just makes sense. So it affects the entire chain, and that's part of what people seem to forget about all this. It's going to increase inflation. And the people that are working these jobs, if they do get laid off and they rely on SNAP, well, they're going to need more SNAP benefits. And if you're not qualified to work at a supermarket, then what the hell are you going to be able to do? With the job numbers already at 5 million openings, or 5.3 million, compared to the 7.4 million that includes elderly and people from the ages of 16 and over, essentially, whether they're disabled or not, that are unemployed. And if you include seasonal, like the fluctuations from seasonal positions, it's 7.7 million people. And then SNAP's 42 million. And even if it considers children, I mean, one fact is the child is not the one going online, signing up for a card and getting the card. It's the parents. And typically those parents work. Whether or not they're considered the number, if they are also partially covered by SNAP in some way, shape, or form, or if they are not, maybe they make too much and they're getting a partial payment for their child in that case, then perhaps. And there's also foster kids. There's so many other little factors to consider, but even when the numbers are so small in comparison to the entire population of the country, and even against the population of recipients, because that's a factor about also 1/8 that are unemployed accounted for. I mean, if anything else, if you're considering children, like I said, they're either going to be children of unemployed individuals or employed individuals. And the ones that are using the card and getting the card and filing everything is the either employed or unemployed individuals, not the kid. Okay? So, yes, children are probably a part of the cost. But when it comes to the number of recipients and even households, because if it's a household with a single parent or both parents and maybe one doesn't have a job and the other doesn't make it enough, all right, it depends on the taxes too. There's a lot of other little things that are in consideration, but with the stats that are available to us right now, I mean, it's pretty obvious to be like, who's unemployed? We can work from that end. And that's what I did. So check out the other videos. But anyways, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to affect people that rely on SNAP to feed themselves and their families, regardless if they work a part-time or full-time job. Because some full-time jobs, if you're getting minimum wage, you can still be eligible for a part of SNAP. It doesn't mean that you get a lot, but you're still a part of the numbers. That's also a consideration. There are people that work jobs that only get like about $30-something a month. And mind you, these are monthly. The average monthly is 188. With a kid, I guess it was like 3-something. That's what the news said, but that's not at least anything that I've seen. Maybe the new numbers, actually no, even the new number being like that. I know the maximum is 298 per individual, and then if you have a dependent, it goes to 7-something, and that's per month. All right. So, I mean, almost $300 per month if you don't have a job and you're in between jobs because of the layoffs or something like that. It seems reasonable, especially if you're not getting unemployment yet. When you get unemployment, that gets considered as well as a part of your income. But that's up to this discretion of the state as well. So, and with the current unemployment periods being a median of 9 weeks, or, well, about 2 months, and the average being, what was it, 24.5 weeks or something around there, about 6 months. That is a long time. Unemployment only pays out for a certain amount anyways, and say if they're unemployed and their unemployment runs out, then maybe they'll be getting maximum SNAP benefits until they get a job. But again, as we compare who's unemployed and who's not, and even look by age, taking out, like, considering elderly family members and post-teens or teenagers from 16 to 19, you're basically a teenager. And then from 18 to 24 or even 35 as a young male or a young female, we looked into those. So go check out the other videos. But I mean, overall, with the rest of these considerations, those numbers still reflect in some way, shape, or form. Well, not even just that's what it is. Those are the numbers. Like, you only have so many unemployed people. So if you're going to be like, well, how many SNAP recipients are working or have parents that work? They're considered part of the household because that's how it works, right? I think people, especially people that have never been a part of the system or know people that go through the system, they don't understand that. And maybe they have too much pride, or maybe they make too much. Who knows? But I mean, even me myself, I didn't use food stamps until, like, literally most recently. I've never had it over my time here. And that's changing soon. So, I mean, regardless, I mean, it's changing soon, like tomorrow, so it's whatever. But it's still affecting people. And there's still, I mean, I work 2 jobs, 2.5. And there's your little personal allegory into, where I'm coming from and why I'm taking the time to look at all this and present it. But as I digress, as I always do, people that lose the minimum wage jobs, whether it's part-time or full-time, as many of those that do work part-time may work more than one part-time job, like myself, or may need to take the time to take care of their own family, whether they have children, elderly family members, or disabled family members, because those are also things to be considered. And factoring out those that are disabled and over the age of 55 that may participate in SNAP, that 80% or 8 to 10 ratio goes toward 9 to 10 when we're talking about able-bodied and eligible recipients who also work, when weighing against the number of unemployed individuals and factoring out elderly, disabled, and young adults still living at home that are being claimed by their parents under their household income, as that makes those individuals ineligible for SNAP, as it goes based off household income. It is tied to your Social Security, it's tied to your taxes. Illegal immigrants do not get SNAP. That's it. If they have asylum cases, whether you feel like you consider them illegal or not, that's whatever. But if it was through a legal process like asylum or refugee programs, which are now getting slashed, what's the problem? Again, look at the Declaration of Independence and tell me that they don't speak of migration when it comes to some of the grievances they had against the British monarchy back then. It's not anything delusional. It's right fucking there. It's part of American history. Like, oh my god. Anyways, regardless, we considered, we give benefit of the doubt here to those that are disabled, that it can't work. And whatever you feel about disabled people, regardless, the number is still only, I think, 1 million or 2. Just go look at the video. It's there. But still, unemployed individuals and factoring out elderly, disabled, and young adults still living at home, as we also considered, as that makes those individuals eligible for SNAP, as it goes based off household income, as about 57 to 60% of unemployed individuals between the ages of 18 to 24 live at home with their parents. I mean, more than likely, maybe even more than that. We looked at it previously. And considering 16 and 17-year-olds, I mean, further boost that percentage. But we're talking about young adults. Unless they're foster kids, maybe that's a different story. But I mean, 16, 17, you're typically in foster care until 18 from, I mean, what I know from personal experiences. So it's a little different. And then when we look at 24 to 35, only 18% of those live at home with their parents. And they're not getting claimed. I mean, maybe 25. I think it's the law is 25. But after 25, they're not getting claimed on taxes. And depending on their arrangements, maybe they pay rent, or I mean, if they don't have an income, what the fuck else are they gonna do? They're in between jobs. They just got laid off again. We just had 1 million layoffs this year. So that's also another consideration, right? It's a reality behind this, and there's ways we can look at it. But anyways, mind you, the average unemployed period is again from 2 to 6 months on average, from median to average. So when looking at the amount of potential individuals within that age range that coincides with the 1 million additional layoffs, like I just mentioned, since the beginning of this year, and disputes the talking point of young adults are just lazy, especially when we compare the amount of individuals in that age range living at home against the total SNAP recipients and against the population of 340 million Americans. A couple million individuals that are between jobs or were affected by the most recent layoffs seem very reasonable and typical compared to 340 million people, where 333 million are either children or they work. I mean, we have child labor laws, and even then, still, some children do participate in work with their parents or whatever. Like, come on. This is insane. When we can, we know how many people are unemployed. You just minus that from the total, it's barely shit. This is fucking ridiculous. Oh, it's not that young adults between 18 to 35 are lazy. It's that the fact that they have to hope that out of the few job openings, as we mentioned earlier, that may be available to them, that they are willing to hire or train them, as there are 7.4 million unemployed individuals, including elderly and disabled, and only 5.3 million jobs available. And that's if they account for ghost jobs, which I don't know. If anyone knows, then let me know. I don't know if the Fed accounts for ghost jobs. I don't know how accurate they are in accounting for that. So that'd be interesting as well to understand better. But, I mean, with this administration, I mean, they most likely don't. And again, these individuals are limited by if they have the qualifications and experience required to work in what's available, and limited by locality of where these jobs may be relative to them. Or they may be caretakers of family members and have to prioritize taking care of their family over working. But too many people don't want to think that far into reality and the nuances that shape the reality of this country. If you want to learn more on how I came to these conclusions on using the government data available since August 2025, even though, yeah, I read it through what the AI was parsing, but then the links, you can do this yourself. This is also why I'm like, hey, I'm just looking at this. I understand the sources are right there, and typically, yeah, it's from the USAID. It even tells you where it's from for most of it. It's not that fucking hard. I mean, whatever, sure, Google bias. I don't. Then look at the source and figure it out for yourself, okay? I can't convince you what's true or not. I can only show you what is available from the horse's own fucking mouth, okay? But if you want to learn more on how I came to these conclusions using the government data since August 2025, then check out my channel to see it for yourselves, as the data I parse through coincides with Google Analytics and what we're seeing presented online and in the news right now. I'm going to see if there's anyone in chat real quick. No. Cool. Or, well, not, whatever. Anyways. And to those that refuse to take the time to understand, then you are subject to your own ignorance, as this will affect you and everyone around you mentally, physically, and emotionally. There's probably going to be an uptick in crime. There's going to be a lot of people freaking the fuck out. This is real. This is bad. As I said, it's a large part of the economy when it comes to the food economy. So food inflation going up. I mean, between that and, as you'll see, more inflation from these SNAP and WIC benefits being taken out on the economy, while simultaneously many individuals are going to not be able to afford healthcare. We've just seen what the premiums are looking like. They're about double or triple what they were a month. And I mean annually, the same shit. It maths out. So It's bad. And the fact that regardless of, people are not going to survive from this. If they cannot get their health care, if they cannot afford it, they're denied care because of it. I don't know. It depends. We will have to see what happens. Hospitals shut down, etc. And even if Democrats passed a continuing resolution, if they said yes, simply because the premiums on health care for the most vulnerable was going away either way, if they said yes, because that's what it was all about. It's not. We'll do one search. We'll do one. Once I have an itch, okay? I had a question and I was wondering. Who negotiated on the Affordable Care Act subsidy time limit originally? Oh, Jesus. Whatever. It did not originally include a time limit on its subsidies, the temporary enhanced subsidies, which have a time limit and are. Oh, it's enhanced subsidies. Where the enhanced subsidies come from, which have a time limit and currently at the center of the political from 2021. Were created later under the American Rescue Plan Act in 2021. So, first year, extended the Inflation Reduction Act in 2022. The subsidy structure in the original 2010 negotiations focused on setting financial assistance for low and middle income individuals, families on the health insurance, yada yada. So, who put the time limit? An independent from Connecticut, a key holdout whose vote was necessary to reach the 60. He ultimately threatened the filibuster, a public option. Okay. Ben Nelson, another Democrat. Oh, Democrat was another critical swing vote. His support covers compromise regarding restrictions on. All right. Temporary time limit enhanced subsidies that are currently a political sticking point were passed over a decade later. These subsidies were expanded eligibility. Yeah, so 2021. So that was Biden. But so extension 2021, Senate and House. Negotiated primarily by President Biden, Democrats, including Rep. Neal, who were focused on increasing and extending subsidies, not a time limit. The Republicans were initially resistant but later supported for short-term relief, though ultimately That's interesting. That's what I kind of thought. Key players in the context? Maybe. Key figures who helped shape the bill. Democrat. Negotiator for the subsidies. Who? Republican stance. Initial resistance. Support for temporary relief. Yep. I mean, it's a word. I mean, that makes sense. Opposition to permanent extension. Huh. I wonder whose fault it was that there was a time limit. Huh. All right, well, back to what we were doing. Y'all can look into that more. Anyways, simply because the premiums on healthcare for the most vulnerable was going away anyways, alongside the $18 billion a year cut to SNAP that's going to affect next fiscal year, I believe. Or maybe soon. I forget. Maybe November. I forget. Whatever the one big disastrous thing was, whatever's in there about cutting $18 billion a year, about, well, $180 billion in a decade. So you divide that by 10, it's about $18 billion. It's around there. I'm rounding probably down, I believe. So you can give it a little bit more benefit of the doubt. Regardless, it's going into effect next year, and that directly counters the adjustment for inflation, potentially bringing the average monthly allowance of SNAP from its current $188 per person a month to $130, $140, around there. Because, I mean, if you're taking away like $18 billion from $100.3 billion, that's about a fifth, almost a fifth. And then you take that on 188, and that's what the monthly payments per individual on average is going to go down by, I believe. I don't know. Well, I mean, we're going to find out regardless, so time will tell regardless. Anyways, a month, regardless, if the government shut down, regardless of the government shut down or not, which is what I'm trying to say, while simultaneously being squeezed further by inflation and being adjusted downwards instead of following food inflation like the budget and monthly allowances have since 2019. As if you look at the Bye Bye Snap video, I go over what happened in the first administration compared to now, what happened during the longest government shutdown, and wondering why we were able to pay for SNAP until March, which is another point of contention for today's politics, alongside understanding that the government was even funded until December because of rules passed in the previous CR a year before when it was still under Trump's, term, because that was at the point of midterms, which is ultimately what caused the government shutdown to end, was because Democrats were elected and they were able to be the vote. So before the benefits ran out in March. Mind you, the benefits for SNAP was, I think, not borrow from, but they used whatever was left in the remaining fiscal year from what they originally allowed, alongside the emergency funds, which coincidentally that was taken off the website from the agriculture department. I think, what was it, a week or two ago? Whatever it was, but you'll see it. But there's emergency funding. There's flat out saying no before. Yeah, it's absolutely different than the actions that they took previously over the border wall back then. People seem to just easily forget that. And now, when we compare the inflation from 2019 up till now, food inflation was 30%. A snap from then, the total budget directly followed that 30%, as well as the monthly payments. So you're literally allowing inflation to rage as it's going to rage further, as for the reasons that we mentioned above. It's a whammy all around. Everyone's getting burned. It's wonderful. So we can also see why they're assembling troops in all over different cities. Yada yada. It's a slippery slope. It's the Weimar Republic, and I don't know, man. I don't know how we're gonna get through this, but this is all I got left, so this is the last time I'm gonna really be talking about this. We already did it. Go look at the videos. I'll link them down below. Anyways, if you like what you liked, then like. If you want to sub. If you want more updates on other stuff as they come up, depending on what it is, depending on what I'm even allowed to say. Let me know. I mean, we're also going to do other stuff, but I listed a post on YouTube. Go sub to the YouTube as well if you're watching on Twitch, or go follow on the Twitch. Keep up to date. And, I mean, until next time, this is Spark saying, what the fuck? Peace. Just good luck out there. Oh yeah, I posted a list of next videos. Typically I do that when I can, if I have ideas. But you'll see. Anyways, until next time, this is Spark saying, peace.